For sure. But so we want to get started now. Thank you so much for tuning in, everybody that's tuning in to Poetry Saturdays. We running a little later this day, but that's cool. This week we're cool. But my name is JJ Loves to Teach. I'm the storyteller poet with wordplay that makes words say. Jay, you play too much, but this is my interviews thing that I usually have. We started Poetry Saturdays as a way for me to incorporate different artists into my classroom, integrate different artists into my classroom. And we do live interviews about their creative processes, and then we talk about a lot of other stuff and just chop it up. It's really a phone call that I have with my poet friends, and then I let my students listen to those phone calls. But yeah, so but it has evolved over the last year into something that has helped different artists to learn how to create, learn how to get out of different snags. There's been some nuggets for different connections and networks and stuff like that. Emilio is well traveled, well seasoned as a poet, so you might have some nuggets that he dropped as well. But yeah, so we're gonna get started. I'm gonna let Emilio introduce himself and tell you a little bit about himself, and we'll get started with the interview.
Yeah, so what's up, everybody? My name is Emilio the Poet. I am a poet out of the Bronx, New York City. Salute, salute, salute. I've been a poet for damn near all my life, but in the field of poetry for the last, I'd say, 5 to 8 years, like real serious, real headstrong. I've also been an actor, starring on TV shows such as Blue Bloods, Orange is the New Black, to name a few, countless others. Through that, I've learned production stuff, and now I currently have a production company called Custom Promotional Poems, where I make small business commercials. I also make custom poems. So for whatever your need, if you're interested, hop on custompromotionalpoems.com and check us out. You know what I mean? We'd love to work with you and for you. Yeah, so I'm just a poet. I also have a book out entitled I'm a Poet and You Know It, Volume 1. Volume 2 is coming out through the grace of God soon, later this year. So, you know what I mean? I'm putting it together. I'm working on it. So if you guys like any of my work, past, the present, or future, you know what I mean? Look out for that.
Yeah, man. That's awesome, man. So you said you've been a poet all your life.
Yeah.
Talk about that one moment where you were just like, this is what I'm gonna do. Like I love this art. I love this as a form, as an art form.
Yes.
Like, talk about that one moment.
Yeah, so when I was a kid, I'm from New York City again. There's this place called New Eurekans Poets Cafe. And so down here it's pretty prominent for poets. And back, I'd say, I don't want to age myself because I'm hopefully, well, back in the days, this place was a very welcoming place for not just for poets, right? Just for anybody. It was like a place to go outside of movie theaters and stuff. It was a very prominent place back then. I was about 19 years old, and I went to this place because everybody knew about this place. We all wanted to be in the happening areas of New York City. So we go to this place, and I'm seeing all these poets go up there, and I was afraid for them because not only were they on stage, which I had stage fright at that time, I was scared to death of it. You couldn't pay me enough to get on stage, and these people were not just saying, being up there, but they were pouring their souls and their guts out to complete strangers. And I felt like at the time that was the most bravest, courageous thing you could ever do. You know what I mean? Because it was like, damn, you're just gonna let the whole world know that your girl cheated on you,
Yeah.
or your heart's broken, or you know what I'm saying, or whatever, or you got God forbid, but rape. In some cases, it was just very, very traumatic experiences that people would just freely verbalize and rhyme scheme pattern out their way of, and I was like, you know what, man, this is me. And I was scared to death, but I knew that feeling didn't override the feeling of me jumping on that stage one day and doing it. So it was that moment in time for me. I was about 19 that I was like, yo, this is it for me. I'm in love, and I ain't looking back. So
That's dope.
yeah,
That's dope. And now you're slam champion. So I mean, you got to be pretty good at it. You know what I'm saying? For people, for at least three judges that loved you enough to say that your work is tremendous enough for you to win the competition. So
yo,
yeah.
thank
So
you.
that's
Thank you.
yeah, and I mean, I've heard some of your stuff. I know it's dope. I mean, I'm a fan of wordplay. I'm a fan of the different figurative languages in the English language. And I hear that a lot in your stuff. And hopefully towards the end of the interview, they'll some of the people get to hear some of your stuff too.
Sure,
Um,
sure,
but let's talk about the writing process and the creative process.
sure.
So I know you're probably familiar with writer's block and
Sure,
whatnot.
sure.
So like what is your idea? What is your like I guess like your view of writer's block? And then what are some steps that you use yourself personally to get out of that funk? Like whatever you get into like some type of funk or whatever with writing and creating.
So I just want to put this out there. I'm a Pisces. We're very, very random in emotions, random in a lot of things, right? So, I just want to put that out there, preface that, right? Okay, so first of all, for me, I don't believe in writer's block as much as I believe that you're just not inspired at that moment to write. You know what I mean? Unless you have a hard deadline to meet. I don't believe in that. I believe that, you're not drawing anything to do that. You know what I mean? Unless you're working like, I got to get this writing out tonight. Or if not, I'm fired from my job or something like that. That's different,
Sure.
And thankfully, I haven't been faced with that kind of, turmoil yet. So that's not something that, but so think about the times, I just want to change that mindset up. Think about the times when you are inspired. The real question should be, what excites you to write? You know what I mean? Whatever that is. So if it's a tree, you love nature, being more in nature. If it's talking to people and getting a different perspective, talk to people. You know what I mean? It's about finding what is the zone that puts you in that writing space and just doing more of it, or expanding where you're at. Sometimes we're living only in our neighborhood, in our block, in our job, and we just need to venture out of that space. We're in a funk in our space. The routine is already, we're in a routine. We're in a rut of a routine. Sometimes it's just say, go to the park instead of going back home from work. Or take a trip up, up to another city. Take a train, take a car ride over. Just do something that you don't do normally. And don't put the kind of pressure on yourself like, I got to write after this. Just go and be in that moment and let life talk to you. Let life show you what it's about and the fruits of its labor. Let it show you more things than you've probably seen up until that point. I hope that helps, man. I hope I answered you in a way.
No, definitely. So like it's kind of like it reminds me of Inception.
Yes.
Like when you're in the dreams and you like always have that token with you, so you know the difference. And it's kind of like that's like like when you're doing poetry, you like remember that inspiration, right?
Right.
That one thing that pulls you
Right.
towards your writing. That's what I got out of what you were saying. So
Cool.
that's dope.
Let me just say this real quick about Inception.
Okay.
I was watching that movie one day. The first time I had watched it, I didn't watch it in the theater. I watched it. My friend, she had bought the DVD. It was like 12 o'clock at night, right? I'm watching the movie, but I'm zoning in and out of the movie. Like I'm like in and out. I'm tired. I'm watching it. And I'm not watching. I'll wake up and the movie was upside down like this. I turned that bitch off quick. I'm like, hell no. You ain't gonna catch me slipping, devil. No Satan, no son. Not today.
That's funny.
So that was my first time.
Yeah, that's funny. But I mean, like, I appreciate that. That's my kids will love that. So let's talk about the pandemic, man. Let's talk about what's been going on. So like, like I'm pretty sure, like I said, you're a well-known artist. Like I'm pretty, you were booked. I know I was booked for a lot of things last year, some promising things, like that. That all came to a halt, right? Like how did that really affect you, like during that or still currently? How is it affecting you, your writing?
I'm gonna tell you like this, man. I'm gonna be honest. I was scared to death. You hear me? I was scared to death, man. Listen, I was going through it in the beginning. First 3 months, I was like, oh God. Oh my God. You know what I mean? I was watching the news. I was in mass hysteria. I was in panic mode, stressed out, everything you want to name. I was all that shit. And I realized, man, like I had to snap out of it. I had to kind of unplug, from the matrix, if you will. I had to kind of get off the news and get out and do other things, whatever it is to distract me. You know what I'm saying? I had to do something else. And as far as doing that, like I was realizing one thing. I'm sorry for all the screaming. I'm in the park right now. I just came off of work. Yeah, that's the devil trying to play trick. That's the goddamn devil. But yeah, they don't know I'm a man of God. You hear me? We're gonna take this shit up the street. Hold on a second. If you ain't gonna kill me. Not today, devil.
No, you good, man. You good.
Yeah, they really hate hardcore.
So while you moving, I'm gonna plug your book again. So he did say that he has a book called "I'm a Poet and You Know It" Volume 1.
Yes.
That it's on Amazon.
Yes.
So make sure y'all cop that if y'all can. You
Yes.
got
Thank you.
This is Emilio the Poet featuring the kids in the park. You know what I'm saying?
Right. you
so
know, legit. Let me just say this real quick, and everything is a teaching moment for me. So I've been educated for damn near all my life, man. I want to say at least the better part of 15 years. And I'm gonna tell you, like I said, I'm a man of God. I really do believe in God, and I really do believe we're always tested. It's a test. You know what I mean? Are you gonna let the moment derail you, or are you gonna stand up to the moment, embrace it, and get through it? And that's truth, what I believe. So maybe 10, 15 years ago, I would have probably been like, mother, kids, you son of a. But now I'm like, you know what, man? Live and let live, because I ain't gonna die for your ass.
Yeah, and I feel like that's like a good answer for the question too. Like like kind of what you was going through during the pandemic. You know what I'm saying? Like, so did you find yourself kind of like starting to relax toward as it progressed?
Oh yeah, man. Listen, I like I said, like I'm sorry. The reason why I didn't answer your question fully was because the screams kind of like really deterred.
No, you're fine. You're fine. You're fine.
Okay.
I was a little distracted too.
Yeah.
So it's cool.
I was losing my brain. I was like, what the hell am I even talking about anymore? All right. So, you know what the truth is? I found. So this is what happened with me. I had a lot of things lined up, booked up, etc., just like you, and everything was falling apart as far as those things. I kind of, after about 3 months, I started to realize, you know what? I got to embrace this. I can't let this get the best of me, because all this is going to do is create more turmoil, more stress, more things that I don't want to feel anymore. So I embraced it. I accepted the fact that we were going to be 6 feet apart. I accepted the fact that I had to wear a mask, of which I'm not wearing now, because any chance I get to not wear a mask, I'm not wearing the mask. But in general, like, I just embraced it. And I found the quickest way to relax is to embrace. So I embraced the moment. I accepted it for what it is. I no longer fought what was. You know what I mean? A lot of people around me were just wishing for it to go back to normal. And I was like, you know what, man? Maybe we just have to embrace what it is and get through, because there's no power in trying to wish your life away. You don't want to wish yourself to sleep, wish yourself the next month, wish yourself the next year. What about today? What can we do with today? So I was just focusing on just the moments and the days as they come, and being blessed to be a part of it, man. So many people died through this pandemic. We made it through with survivors, man. So we got to be grateful and appreciative for what was and what is, man. And that's where I'm at with it. Just be appreciative and give all the glory to God about that, straight up.
Man, that's good to hear. That's good to hear, man. And so, has it helped your creative process at all? Just being able to be like, you're stationary as far as like working and stuff like that. Has that helped with the process?
So that's actually a good question. It's funny because this is what happened with me. I was supposed to release my book last year. I'm a Poet and You Know It, Volume 2. And the reason I didn't release it, and a lot of my, maybe it's something regrettable that I didn't do it, but whatever. I was just kind of like not in the space to release any book. I just felt like, I don't know if I'm gonna make it tomorrow. Fuck, releasing a book. You know what I mean? I'm just on some like, what? So now what happened was I gathered so much from everything. You know what I mean? I was a sponge. I was a fly on the wall, just absorbing what was the world around me. You know what I mean? Most of it was my writing pattern and stuff like that. I love writing about relationships, interpersonal. I like idealistic relationships of what it should be. Monogamous. I guess I'm a romantic. I'm a hopeful romantic, not a hopeless romantic. I don't like the term hopeless. You know what I mean? My cup is half full. You know what I'm saying? Fuck y'all. You're gonna steal my happy. Yeah. But I just felt like the things that was going on in the world weren't the things that I was writing about initially, and it's not wasn't my interest because I don't like talk about death and all this destruction too much, you know. So I had to kind of step back, analyze what was happening, and then just jump back into my bag in my own way, you know what I mean, and do it from my perspective and be okay with the results because that's who I am, you know what I mean. You're a poet for a reason. Like you're a poet because you love wordplay. You said but you also have content that you love to write about or talk about. Am I right to say that?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, of course.
Right. So that's what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
We got to find our own muse in the turmoil of the world. Find what makes us happy, and just go with that, man. Because if not, we're just gonna be lost in the sauce.
I hear that. I hear that. So my next question was actually going to be in regards to your style of writing. What would you do? You feel like you have a particular style that you kind of like gravitate towards, or like how would you even like describe it? The way you write and what you write about, the content you write about.
You know, I'm just, and this is not. I'm not trying to be egocentric or anything like that. I mean that's. I think it's a very uncanny way of writing. I don't necessarily look at one person and say, "Oh, this person reminds me of the way I should write." I love lyricism. I love lyricism. You know, I grew up a huge hip hop fan from the '90s. I'm aging myself again, but whatever. Don't judge me. Just love me. And I
I was
love.
going to say that's stereotypical about New York people. And I didn't want to be like you're a New York guy. You got to be a hip hop head, you know. But
That's true. No, you're right. You're absolutely right. I am. I grew up a huge hip hop head, but I love lyricism. I love listening to words and what they're doing with me. Because the beat, I feel like the beat sets the tone, but the lyrics drive you home, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? And so for me, I try to stay true to the pen. I try to stay true to what am I doing with the pen? What am I doing with the words? If I'm uplifting, but I'm also, am I taking you somewhere? You know what I mean? Am I creating a headspace where you're like, oh, wait, I just did. Oh, wait, I took you there, but you was here. But now I like doing it. I like pulling you somewhere. So I would say my creative process as far as writing is lyricism, enthusiasm. I bring a lot of energy, and I definitely like laughter. I like a little sprinkle a little comedy in there because I like to keep it light. Sometimes the things that I talk about are profound. Like there could be a heartbreak or something, but I feel like there's always room for laughter. So I try to sprinkle that in there wherever I can. You know, depending on the content, depending on the mood, depending on the circumstance. But I would variously say wordplay, lyricism, that I branch out to a lot of energy and a little sprinkle of comedy. I would say if I had to sum it up in 3 key words.
okay. No. I think that like for me, for what I've heard, I think that summarizes it well.
Thank you.
You know, the comedy part maybe not so much, but you know, like I think if I read it more, maybe so. But you know, like when I'm listening, I'm like, hold on, wait, I'm still processing. So I might be missing those comments, but I'm like, hold on, wait.
Well,
Did he say?
Can I just say something? And listen, man. Let me tell you something, man. I just want to say this. There's nothing better than the truth, right? Your perception of what I do is your perception, and I ain't gonna try to change that. Which is why I think a lot of artists, and I'm talking about painting artists, right? When you get a tattoo, most artists don't like to say what it is because it's abstract, right? It's for you to process and interpret in your way. Even if our shit is dry and corny to you, that's fine because that's your interpretation. So that's why that question is not necessarily clear upon all of my pieces because it's your interpretation. And also, you're probably new to my work overall. Just like I'm talking about overall. So I don't expect everything to come out in every piece. I'm very dramatic in my pieces as well. You know, I'm very, very serious when I need to be too. So it could just be that those pieces just came out in those ways as well. Or maybe you didn't find me funny, which is cool too.
Let's go. Theatrical poetry. I love it. Yeah, no. But no. I just think that the pieces that I was hearing, they might have been like comical, like funny, but like I think like I was catching bars, and so I was trying to process, and I'm like, man, maybe he did say something funny in that poem,
right?
And I just don't remember.
Yo, the fact that he said I was bars, listen, that's the highest compliment I think any rapper can get.
But yeah, man.
highest compliment.
Yeah. I mean, you want to spit something right now?
Sure.
Let's.
I'm gonna do this piece. This piece is entitled "Surgeries for the Hard-Headed," and I'm doing this piece because the time we was on that show, that game show, Naquel had me do just a clip of this piece, and
Okay.
you actually enjoyed it and wanted to hear more. So I wanted to kind of give you this piece in terms of, you know what I mean, giving it back to you.
I'm here for it.
You know
I'm
what
about to catch the comedy part too.
I don't
hope
know.
I catch
Yo,
it.
you know what? Let me just say this, man, before I start. I don't remember off the top of my head where the comedy shit. And maybe this is not the piece. Maybe it is. Who knows? But we'll see. All right, I hope you enjoy it. Surgeries for the hard-headed. Let me set my phone down and try to get this right. We're going to get right, y'all. We're going to get right. We're going to work. Poetry is in motion. Poetry is in motion, y'all. All right, can you see me clear? I'm good?
Yes, sir.
All right, here we go. Excuse me, but does anybody in here do surgeries for the hard-headed? No? Well, that sucks for me. Because, see, I'm fresh out of ego strokes. I'm being flexible to the intolerable. Because, see, while I be malleable, they be stone cold. Who wouldn't admit they see sparkle if I brought them a pot of gold? Be the bigger man, they say. Okay. Until when? Because you know everything has an expiration date. And my patience is wearing thin like a clothesline while simultaneously your pride wears thick as a pork rind. No, we taking that ass to the hospital. Because there's got to be something doctors could do. Give his ass the pill until he comes to. But do y'all do surgeries for the hard head? Because they treat my advice like flies, and their replies be the fly swatter.
Mm.
They say the number one cause of death is heart disease. And that may be, but I disagree. I say the number one cause of death is stubbornness. Stuck in your ways-ish, refusing to accept an answer other than what you want and think pride at the tip of your tongue because you'd rather be dead than be wrong. Long gone. Like being wrong is being stupid, dumb, ignorant, ruthless. The truth is you can't handle it. That's why your hearing is starting to slip. Instead, you replace it with indifference, shrugging your shoulders while your problems feel like boulders. But like magic, when I open my mouth at the same time you close your ears. Trying to play me like my aid is minimum wage. When it could have helped saved you, and we'd have both got paid and made the front page, but you were too busy being right. And that's why right now you don't have life. Surgeries for the hard. Thank you.
I love that. I love that. What's going on, Caroline? How are you? Thank you for tuning in. Yeah, man. I resonate with that piece because I'm hard-headed. Stubbornness, yo, man. Yeah, that piece right there, man. Yeah.
I think most of us are, man. Let's talk about that a little bit, man. Why do you think you're stubborn? What makes you stubborn, in your opinion?
Pride. You know, like what you said, like the way you ended the piece, right? We're too busy being right, and I think like when somebody publicly tells you you're wrong, right? Then it becomes like, all right, bro, you just bruised my pride in front of people. Nah, I'm gonna ride this out. I'm gonna ride this out until the last minute, man. Yeah.
You know what? Let me just say this real quick. This is twofold, and I'm saying this because every generation, I believe, has the opportunity to do better than the last generation, in my opinion. So you're a young man, and here's the thing: it's two things. Either you're gonna care about what people think about you when you're wrong, even in public, or you're going to accept that you're wrong and try to correct it, even in public. That's it. There's no two ways about it. In my opinion, it really don't matter what people think about you, but people gonna talk shit about you regardless.
That's true.
Your best friend right now.
It don't stop people from being stubborn though.
No. I'm just, what I'm saying is the pride that we talk about. Because again, we're all faced with this. Ain't nobody perfect. I ain't perfect. Nobody perfect. What I'm saying is that pride is to shield us from that potential, that rude awakening, or that how can I say that being made fun of or whatever. Like, listen, that ridicule, everybody goes through that shit. It don't make you better or worse. It just is what it is. So I'm just saying, if you accept being wrong and learn to correct it, you'll be quicker to being right. Who cares? Who cares? Who cares if your so-called friends think you're wrong? Fuck them. They don't like you anyway. They don't like you anyway. So, my brother, how you feeling? Good, man. You put your shots up today?
I'm about to in a minute.
Good. So you understand what I'm saying? The problem is being wrong. Everybody's wrong at some point. Ain't nobody right all the time. I don't care who you are. It just is what it is. What's up, Mr. Vano? Thank you for joining. Always been a supporter. I'm grateful. Thank you for everybody who's joined on my behalf. And those of you who don't know me, I'm Emilio the Poet, owner of CustomPromotionalPoems.com, where we make your small business commercial or custom piece for any occasion. I'm a romantic lover by nature, not a fighter, but I will write any piece under the sun as long as you enjoy what I did. So come and check us out at CustomPromotionalPoems.com to see what I can do for you and yours.
Yeah, let's talk about that, man. Because I think I've actually brought up to people in the past who's done this, but they've never been on the show. Okay. But so you do advertisements and things of that nature. How difficult is it to write a poem, right, that you're writing for the stage for competitive poetry or open mic versus writing a poem for endorsing a company or something like that? Like, what's the difference?
Well, that's a great question. So this is how I see it, and this is the God honest truth. I've been honing my skills since the day before forever, right? Writing is not a thing where I have to be forced to do. It's a thing that I enjoy to do. I look forward to writing. I look forward to it. And because of that train of thought, I've done it damn near every day, unbeknownst to me. It wasn't something I was like, yo, I got to write today. So I don't believe in forcing anything. I think anything that's forced is not good, period. I don't care what you is. Whether you're trying to eat good, damn, you got to eat this broccoli. You're going to hate the broccoli because you have to eat it. It's like, no. So because of that, though, I've challenged myself in a lot of different spaces in terms of writing, and I feel like I've developed a skill where I can pretty much write off the cuff because I have developed the skill to be able to just kind of entrench myself in wherever I'm at, the climate that I'm at, the space that I'm at, for whatever I'm at. And I pride myself in doing it at a high level because I'm a professional. I've been doing this for many, many years, and I feel like I'm great at it. So it's a confidence thing. It's also a listening thing where I feel like I'm very, very devoted to who I'm working for and with. You know what I mean? My job is to get the best out of it, so I have to know what it is I'm getting out of it because I have to listen to you. I have to understand where we're going, what you need, what are you endorsing, what is it? And I pride myself in doing that as well. So I'm very selfless in that state, and I just take what God has given me and do the best that I can, and thankfully up until this point, people have enjoyed it, and I'm still in business. So let's see,
Yeah. No, I appreciate that, man, because I think about it. I think about endorsements because I try to work with different companies as well.
Oh, nice.
And so another question I was going to ask too, so so are you open to anyone, or do you have this is an honor code or a value system I do we have to match the same values when I look at your company, and whatever. How do you kind of navigate those things when you're when people ask for you to write for them or anything like that?
A great question, man. Great questions, my brother. You got to pat yourself on the back today because you coming with it. I gotta dig in my brain for these. But I'm gonna be honest with you. Thankfully, at this moment in time, I have not been faced with, trading in my value or integrity to do work for anyone. Up until this point, I do. I will say that I do have an honor code. There are things that I don't want to put myself or associate my brand with. But
Sure.
again, I've not gone down that road. Is what I'm trying to say. Like I haven't been faced with, thankfully. But yeah, I do. I believe that once you sold your integrity, there is nothing else left to sell. So I do believe in keeping that up, and through the grace of God, I won't be having to, face with that kind of dilemma or situation. So, so far so clean for me and my business, and I would definitely love to keep it that way. Work with people that believe in what I do, but also see value in what I do. And luckily, I've been lucky with those two parts so far.
How's it going? I'm back again in 6.
Hello, how you doing?
Thank you for joining in. Thank you for joining in. Yeah, so now I'm going to kind of turn the conversation a little bit more toward kind of like a social justice, political stance of poetry and whatnot. So these questions are uncomfortable. Look, 100%. If you don't want to answer it, just say you don't want to answer it. I understand.
Okay.
But we'll get into it. So, as far as your opinion, what do you feel is the role of the poet, the POC poet, in 2021?
Okay, so you said the POC poet, right?
Yeah, person of color.
Okay, I'm glad you asked this question because this is my truth. I believe wholeheartedly that person of color that is a poet today, you can be whatever type of poet you want to be. I don't believe you should subject yourself to trying to save the world or anything with your writing. I think it's a huge pressure that we put on ourselves, in my opinion, to kind of save the world in one stanza or piece, etc. And I'm not saying that we don't. I listen. I've been an advocate for many years. I've been taking the streets as well. I've protested, etc. Don't get me wrong. You know what I mean? But I believe it's a very hard, heavy burden to continuously, forcibly carry or feel like we have to carry all the time. So I would say, do what's in your heart to do, because I believe that there is healing in your tongue, in the word, and it doesn't have to be blasting a political party. It could be healing by words and being funny, or it could be, talking about other things of interest that takes you off of the debauchery of the world or what have you. So I would not subject us or make us feel like we have to pigeonhole ourselves to kind of save face and try to elevate the whole entire race. It's a heavy weight to carry. I'm sorry. Everybody's not Malcolm X. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that to say it's a bad thing. I'm just saying you shouldn't force yourself to be really.
There you go. There you go. I hear you now.
Sorry, I had gotten a phone call. So yes, I just
That's
want you
all
to know, like we're not forced to be anything that is not in us naturally to be, in my opinion.
Okay. That's actually good.
How do you feel about that, though? How do you feel about that as a person of color?
Me personally, I think that as poets, we are the historians of our time. I think that we have a responsibility to record what's going on, and it could look differently because, like what you said, and I 100% agree with like what you were saying about, we have to stay true to ourselves. My poetry is very nerdy. It's very, you know what I'm saying? Like, right. I'm a nerd. I love anime. I love cartoons. I love comics, Right. And so my poetry will use those features, those things, the things that I love, right, to kind of convey the message of, maybe the black plight in America. It'll convey the message of, how capitalism may be bad for a country like ours, things like that, But I stay true to who I am as an artist. I stay true to you're going to hear wordplay. You're going to hear if I'm doing metaphors or similes, you're going to hear a Dragon Ball Z reference maybe, or you might hear a Batman versus Superman reference.
Right.
You're going to get that. And I think that, and there might be someone who specializes in love poems.
Right.
And I think that there's a way to document what's going on in America through a love poem
Sure.
or a breakup poem.
That's true.
And I think that there may be someone who specializes in, another genre of poetry.
Right.
Erotic. I mean, I have my own opinions about erotica poetry, but but there's an avenue for it. And I think that if we stay true to ourselves, and but at the same time, like also what does it say? There's a saying that says like the victor usually is the one that writes history, and I'm tired of that narrative. I'm
Right.
tired of that narrative.
Right.
And so as poets, I think that we kind of have a responsibility to document in our own way.
Sure.
And I think
sure.
that's what. Yeah, and I think that that's just me. That's my personal opinion.
No, but listen, I love that, and this is you're doing this with your code of ethics, right? And that's what this important thing, because whatever that is drives you to be the poet that you are, and that's important to identify, because this is what I'm saying. You identify with who you are as a poet, and that's what you're doing more of, and that's great, because if you didn't enjoy what you were writing about, you wouldn't write. Period.
100%.
So
100%.
whether that's Dragon Ball Z or whatever reference, that's who you are, and that's what you want the world to see, and that's a beautiful thing. And I think the quicker we get to knowing who we are as artists, but not just artists, as people, the happier we'll be, because we'll continue to do those things that make us happy, and that's what we want to lead, is happy lives anyway. So might as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. I love that.
Thank you.
There's this big debate going on in the community, right? The poetry community, about the history of poetry, the art itself, the art form itself, and poetry as an art form. We should be studying poetry. We should be studying poetry. What has built this? What we should be studying. What has got us to the point we're at now, in order to really appreciate it, to become better poets.
Sure.
Sure. And so, there's two sides of it. So, and I respect both sides. I actually play the fence.
Sure.
But to be honest, there's one side of it, the argument that's like, you don't have to study poetry in order to be a great poet, right? Because technically, if you're studying other poets and you tend to pick up on things that they do.
Right.
And then, and it becomes a part of your style,
sure.
maybe, and it's not intentional, but, it happens.
Sure.
And it's like, okay, I see that. I could see that possibly happen. But then there's also people who are like, all right, if you were trying to be a great basketball player, right?
Right.
And you told me you didn't know who LeBron James or Michael Jordan was, I wouldn't respect you as a basketball player. And so the same thing with poetry, like some people are like, yo, like, how do you not know Nikki Giovanni or Amiri Baraka and what they've done for the art form,
Yes.
Saul Williams, or
yes.
and stuff like that. And then like even the people now. So like, I'm like, okay, I can see both sides of this argument. And so I'm just like, how do you feel about that?
You know what? So I think because poetry is very vast, right? So like, I'll give you an example. One of the reasons why I wanted to write poetry or just perform is because I got tired of being shoved Shakespeare down my throat in school, in high school. I felt like poetry was just Shakespeare. And it's not a knock on Shakespeare. I don't hate Shakespeare. I did at the time in high school. I was like, yo, I'm tired of the Shakespeare shit. But now I can appreciate it for what it was, you know what I mean? And it's fine. It's all good. But what it is it didn't look like me. It didn't feel like me. It didn't sound like me. You know what I mean? That's my point about it. There's got to be different narratives and perspectives when it comes to even the voice of poets. So I felt like to myself, you know what? I'm going to go be that voice that I want to see more of and show you a different perspective from an urban point of view of poetry. And I feel like that's okay too. That's all that is. As far as studying, I love poetry, right? I grew up on Saul Williams, Gil Scott-Heron, you name it, I saw it. The New Eureka Poets Cafe had birth back in the early 2000s, guys like Lemon Anderson, There's countless, man. I could be here forever, to be honest. And if
Mm.
Black Chakra today, you know, which I know you're definitely familiar with. Which, you know, there's many. And the thing about it is, I think, in my opinion, I'm not sure if you're asking this kind of question. You're probably asking poetry from a textbook perspective, right? Like history historically,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
right.
So from like both. So like some people. So I've broken it down into two subcategories as well. But I was just saying more on the surface. Like you perceive the question the way you perceive it.
Okay.
Answer. I'll ask other questions. But yeah,
Okay.
mostly the textbook perspective though. Yes.
Okay. So in that sense, yes, I agree 1,000%. I think you should know something about poetry. You shouldn't just walk in here blind and think you're the only, you know, poet on the earth and everybody else has got around. You should know. You have some sort of footing in the door, but have others get an understanding, get a new perspective. I used to enjoy going to, like I said, to open mics, just because I got an understanding from different perspectives. Hold on 1 second. All right, cool. We good now. So, yeah, I love it. I love it, and I think that's what catapulted me into being a poet is listening to other poets and seeing the kind of courage that it takes to get up on stage and just shed your entire guts to really be potentially ridiculed. Really, you know what? And I think that's what the fear is initially, at least, is damn, we might have our whole heads chopped off after this
Yeah.
because you know, we got our heads broke, our hearts broken, and you know, we feel less than. But that's what they think, that where the courage lies. Like, we're so strong, we're gonna do it anyway, and screw it.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I agree. I think you should know. So you can't just go to basketball and not know who LeBron is, Michael Jordan, and expect to be a great poet. I agree.
Be a great, yeah,
I
expect
agree.
to be one of the greats.
I
And so like
100%.
yeah. And so yeah, so then like not even just from the would you have studied your, and I don't want to put an age on you or anything like that, but you know like because I was gonna say like would you have studied your counterparts though, like so would you have studied the Saul Williams or you know even
I
though you
did,
know during that time.
definitely. Yes. Listen, Saul Williams. Listen, let me tell you something about Saul Williams. So, I used to study the Nuyorican Poets Cafe. Nuyorican Poets at first. Saul Williams he's one of those people that came from that, from the Nuyorican Poets. Lemon Anderson as well. I watched everything he put out. I pretty much saw. Slam was a movie that came out years ago,
Yep.
many moons ago. I think in the early
It's on
'90s.
Amazon Prime right now.
Right.
For those who want to watch it.
Yes, check it out. I recommend Slam. It's so dope. You know, like it's just, and like, you know what it was? It was like, damn, how he dares to be great in his niche. You know, he dared to say, you know what I'm doing is fire, even if you don't understand what the hell I'm doing right now, because
Mhm.
poetry may have not been so prevalent as like hip hop or R&B or
Yeah.
whatever, but he still had the wherewithal, the goal to say, you know what, I'm nice in this, and you're gonna have to accept it as such. And you know, he not taking a no for an answer. It was in your face. It was, yo, I'm the man. I don't you if you don't know, you're gonna know right now. Period. You know? And so that's what I drew from that. That's that energy that I feel like you either got it or you don't. And that's on any genre. But that's what Saul Williams did for me. It was like he snatched my soul and said, look, man, either you're gonna be great with me or you gonna sit your ass down. This ain't for you. And I was like, damn, I gotta shit. I guess I gotta be great now. You know, I gotta do something.
Yeah, I see, and that's the thing. Like, it's funny because that you said that. Like literally, the way you talk about Saul, and that's how I feel about soccer.
Yes.
Soccer is my coach.
Yes.
Soccer is my coach, whatever. But you know, like, but like literally the same exact thing. And I'm thinking in my head, like, he like, bro, you don't step your pen game up.
Right.
I'm leaving you. I'm leaving you. Like,
Yo,
hey,
let me just tell you this. I have 3 poets that I admire these days, and Black Chakra might just be number 1.
okay.
That man is beyond dead nice. Like, there's another
Yeah.
cat. He's lyricism times 1,000. Man, he got the dictionary sewn up. You know what I'm saying? He's an incredible poet. Incredible.
Yeah, and I love him, man. And like, one day when I'm done with teaching for good, I'll be on that level. Like this dude, he writes like at least 3 poems a day. Like He's got stuff right now that, you know, like nobody's heard of, but he's memorizing it. And like he's on that level. Like I'm memorizing pieces that I just wrote 2 days ago, so that I can put it into an open mic and just see what. And you know, and like for me studying that, right, studying work ethic, for my counterparts, you know, like studying work ethic, studying the way they deliver, because that helped me a lot. When I first started doing poetry, wordplay was amazing, but if you can't deliver, you know what I'm saying? Like nobody cares. And so, and that was another thing. Like, so you know, and then like you go into open mics, and then this actually leads to another question. But just wanted to kind of really just talk about the studying the counterpart, studying, you know, like the Nikki Giovanni, the Mary to Baracas, like, and I don't know a lot about them.
Sure.
But as I'm learning, because I don't never want to stop learning about poets like Maya Angelou. I feel like there's something about Maya Angelou that I can learn today, and it'd be like something new. And I'm like, wow, you know. But you know, like I found out that Mary Baraka was, he wrote this poem that Huey P. Newton and Bobby Seals were like in front of police just reciting this poem over and over again, and got locked up for it. And then, you know, came the beginning of the Black Panthers with this poem. It was based off of, you know, like the Black Panther Party, the concepts and ideas were based off this poem that Mary Baraka wrote. Right. And I was like, wow, like that's the impact that this can have. You know what I'm saying? Poems are starting movements.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And for us to like, you know, to be like, man, that's crazy. I don't really care about all. I just want to be an open mic poet and just spit my love poem, my erotic poem. It's just because I want to get some girls. You know, I mean, not saying that that's what people are doing. I'm throwing shade, but not throwing shade. You know, like.
And you're probably not wrong. That's the truth. You know what I mean? But let me just say this. I just want to say this real quick, because you brought up Maya Angelou. Maya Angelou is definitely one of my heroes in poetry for life. I learned so much through previous relationships I was in. I was lucky to have people that we would have discussions on Maya Angelou. The greatest compliment that I ever received in my first book, I'm a Poet and You Know It, Volume 1, was I performed. I was an opening act for a film. It was kind of like a film award show for short films, right? I get in there, I do my thing. A lady bought 2 books. She bought one and she bought another. She read the book. She read some of my poems. She gave me a text message. She writes, "This is the greatest I've read since Maya Angelou. My brother, I haven't come down since Clyde 9. I haven't come down." That was probably 3 years ago. I still ain't come down yet. You ain't gonna get me on that.
Man, you gotta put that on the jacket. You gotta put that on the jacket, like reviews. The greatest ever.
Listen, she wrote it, and I actually, if you go on my page right now, if you go on EmilioThePoet, Emilio_the_poet right now, my page, and you click on the highlights, it's on one of the highlights. So I kind of take a picture of what she wrote, and it's there. So I wrote, listen, I'm taking my flowers as it comes, because you earned it, whatever it is. And just like you earned the critique, you gotta take the good with the bad. And I'm not ashamed of taking something that's high praise. Listen, I didn't put a gun to her face and tell her, link me with Maya Angelou. You know, I didn't know this woman from a can of paint, but I'll take it, because I feel like whatever it is, she's just trying to say high praise for my work, and I'm grateful to that, man, because Maya Angelou, that's some company for your ass right there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, just for someone to even just really admire your work, though, too.
Yeah, I agree.
It's just like, you know, like that's just praise. That's just praise in itself. Like, and then to be compared with someone that great, you know, that's top tier, man. Like, man, if you are not excited about reading this book now, or you weren't before, you definitely should be now. It's on the same. Listen, might change your life. Might change your life. I'm a poet and you know it.
Yes.
But anyway, but actually going in that direction, because that's literally my next question, is to talk about like feedback.
Yes.
And more specifically, all feedback.
Sure.
Let's talk about all feedback. So like, who do you accept feedback from? I was going to actually word it as criticism, but because criticism can be positive, but I think feedback is just a better word. So let's just go with that. But how do you take feedback from? How do you receive it? What does that look like?
You know, so in terms of feedback or criticism, I try to always get a gauge for who is talking to me. Uh, is this person genuine? And that's a feel thing. That's just a feel, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, genuine is something you can't copyright. You can't copy and paste it. It's either you are or you're not. So I think if someone's coming sincere to me and talking straight to me about my work, I'll be able to feel it. But I'm also very leery about those who try to destroy you just because sometimes, let's just face it, to some people just it's jealousy and envy in the world as well. Some people just want to destroy you because they're not you or they're not in that position to be what you can be, just because they don't believe. Sometimes they just don't believe in themselves, and that's unfortunate, but that's the goddamn truth. So I just try to look at people for who they are, what I've seen of them, and if they're poets, I look at their work as well. But I'm open for conversation. You know what I mean? I'm not too hard to reach and be like, nah, man, hey, you ain't shit. Nah, if you're coming from a genuine place, I'm wide open. My ears are wide to you. And I try to take it for what it is. You know what I mean? I really try to apply it if I feel like it's something that could really help me in my work. And if it does have,
Mm-hmm.
if it stays with the trajectory of my work and what the message I'm trying to convey. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And so does it change? Does it alter your work at all? Like what you hear from other people? Like, is there a difference between like if it's a poet telling you this, or like someone off the street that was just like, man, I heard that, and I think it would, I think that if you had added this something else to it or something like that, does that alter the way the poem is written later?
No, this is the reason why. Because I've expanded my services to custompromotionalpoems.com. I work with clients as well, right? So I'm not just working with poets. I'm working with clients that have nothing to do with poetry most of the time. And so what happens
Mm-hmm.
is that what I think, and I think this is true for all poets, and I want to kind of just put that out there. We, at the end of the day, if you're a poet or a serious poet or a striving poet, our main objective is to gain clientele and be in business, right? You want to be able to be booked. So you have to take it critique from the ear that has nothing to do with your craft and also the ear that's in your craft, because you're not trying to just appeal to the poets. You're trying to appeal to people that ain't got nothing to do with poetry as well, because you want them sitting there and buying your book as well. You know what I'm saying? Now, I'm not saying that to say that one should take more precedent than the other. I'm just saying that you should absolutely have an open ear to all perspectives, because they're unique perspectives, and you want to welcome that in and see what they have, because they might uplift you. You might be bringing in new fans to your craft that I got nothing to do with poetry, that don't even care for poetry. Period.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just my opinion.
No, 100%. I feel that. Because I look at it as, um, from another standpoint of like, so in the virtual world, right? So
Yes.
we've been virtual. Which shout out to just um, the quarantine, because
Yeah, yeah,
I've
yeah.
been able to meet a lot of dope people,
Right.
artists that I would have never met if we weren't in quarantine. Like I don't think we would have ever met.
Right.
We weren't in
That's a
quarantine,
very
stuff
good
like
point.
that.
Yes, sir.
So virtually, there has been some pros, but there's also been some cons. Like like we have these open mics virtually, and like, and a lot of them are safe spaces. And that's what open mics are for safe spaces. And so when some poets go up on these stage spaces and these open mics and they're performing, and you hear a lot of people in the comments like, "Oh my gosh, that was great," or "That was good to hear. Thank you for sharing your truth." Yada yada yada. It's like, okay, yeah, I'm the man. Then. Like you take it, you're not really getting any like legit feedback, right?
Right. Right.
So then, like I've had people who entered in the slams after I heard them at open mics, and I'm like, okay, maybe they've grown a little bit. And then they'll go and they'll get ranked like the same poem they did at an open mic, where they were like, "Oh, that was great," and it's like a 6 point something or a 8 point, anywhere in that, and they're like, "Man, it's a six." I put a lot of work into this poem, and and it's like,
Right.
to be honest, man, it is. Like, and it's not like coming from any place that's trying to harm you.
Right.
But hey, how you doing? It's not coming from a place where it's like I'm trying to harm you, but it's more like, yeah, man, like this, it could be better, and
Yes.
let me tell
Yes.
you how. And and like, or maybe you're just not meant to compete with your poetry. Like This
100%.
is like, and so like, and sometimes I feel like when it comes to criticism, I always think about like, so for me, the reason why I asked, do you alter your poems based on what people say, is because, for me, I feel like 100%. You definitely, what you said. You have to fill out, like, are they being genuine in
Right,
this moment,
right,
or are they being malicious because there might be some issues they have with you.
right,
So you know the intent of your poem,
right,
and what your poem is. What are you trying to convey through your poem?
right.
And sometimes the things you may add may distract people from the overall message of the
Sure,
poem.
that's true.
And so like I think that like like for me, if I change something based on what someone contributed
Hmm.
to a poem, it was probably still in the editing phase anyway.
Right.
And then two, I already was feeling like that part needed to change anyway,
Mm.
and that's why I changed. You know what I'm saying? Like because I have a poem right now, right, that's gonna go on the album. I've been letting people hear it. It's like 98% done. It's 98% done
Nice.
because I'm letting people hear the poem
Okay.
because I really just want to hear how they're responding to the poem.
Sure.
Not because I want them to be like, man, you need to change this, this, and this.
Right.
Because like I said, like there are parts that I'm like, I think there is something missing, but I'm gonna see what they say. And
Right.
if they say something about that part, then I'm like, okay, I was already planning on changing it.
Right.
That was very good feedback that they gave me. Now I'm changing it.
Right.
But it was something that I was already willing to change.
Right.
And like I said, like it's always about like who's the target audience of this poem? What was your intention of this poem? You know what I'm saying? And like sometimes you have to keep that in mind when you're writing because we can sometimes I ain't gonna lie to you, Emilio, my older stuff, I got so caught up in the wordplay that you'll listen to the poem and you'll be like, the bars are fire, but JJ, I don't know what you were talking about. I don't know what that poem was about.
Right.
I don't
Right.
know what that poem was about.
Right.
It was fire. Like I caught the references. I have no clue what that poem was about.
Right. You know what? Let me just say this, man. I have a quick story to share with you, and I love that. First of all, as far as a writer's concerned, there's always going to be steps we take, right? As long as you continue honing your skill, you're always going to develop. There's only one way, and that's up. If you continuously working at it, it's just the way it is.
Sure.
So I started from somewhere. You started from somewhere. We fell in love with wordplay, etc. But we had to expand to content, to delivery, all that. Okay. Let me just tell you a quick story. So before I became a slam poet, I lost the slam, the slam that was in Queens that I attended. Actually, that's how I met Naquel. Naquel and we go back because he was actually one of the slam participants in the one that I won.
Okay.
So this is what happened. So the week or two before, I went up there, and I felt very confident as a poet. I walked in there, I did my thing. I thought I did a great job. The judges didn't agree. So I wasn't even a slam finalist 2 weeks before I won the slam. And I was like, yo, what? At the time I was with my girl, and she was like, yo, these people are bugging. And I really thought that in my head, like, oh, nah, bro. Like sometimes, nah. And it wasn't no ego. It was like, yo, everybody around me where I sit down was like, yo, it was incredible. You know what I mean? Like, again, I don't do this for ego strokes. I literally legit feel if I'm not ready to perform, I'm not ready to perform. That's it. It's not.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm whack, I'm gonna feel it through the room. The room gonna dictate. Yeah, you know what? Maybe you wasn't as good as you thought you was. So that was not the response I got from the room overall. I'm just saying the
Mm-hmm.
judges didn't see what they saw, I guess. And I was like, okay. So I didn't make it. I lost that week. I came back 2 weeks later and I did the exact same three pieces that won me the championship. And I say that to say this. I took that as a humility moment. That's a humbling. Sometimes we gotta get humble. We gotta get checked. We gotta bring our ego down. And it's easy, especially when you're getting praise all the time, to just have your ego inflated. It's very easy, especially if you have a whole room cheering your ass and they hang on every word. It's real easy to be like, yo, I'm the man, ain't I? You know what I mean? But I looked at that as that. I accepted it. I accepted the humility. I just worked harder on, memorizing my pieces and just doing a better delivery and just doing an overall better performance. But I still kept the confidence level on 15 because I knew one day I'll persevere with this, and it just so happened to be the following slam event. So that's just a little something. Hopefully that you took something from that.
Yeah, I think yeah, definitely. Like Poets need to be humbled, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. You know, listen. We're people, man. If someone tickle your fancy all day, eventually you're gonna believe it. You know, you're the most beautiful thing in this
Yeah.
world. You know, eventually you're gonna say, "Damn, you know, I'm a fire. I ain't got nothing to work on," and that's never true. It's never true that you have nothing to
Mm-hmm.
work on. No matter if you look at Black Chakra as an example. You just telling me about his work ethic, which to me, he's the creme de la creme out here. You know, he's amazing, and the fact that his work ethic is just as great as his poetry, performances, lyricism, etc., tells me what we all need to do. We all need to work harder and smarter. So
Yeah.
it's a beautiful
Man,
thing.
yeah, his work ethic. I mean, he also has like some crazy rituals he just does.
Oh,
Like
what?
we're getting ready to perform, yo, he's boxing the air.
That's
he's
awesome.
he's he when we're preparing to perform. JJ, you going outside right now? Okay, what we doing? We about to spit your piece. You gonna look at that wall right there? Spit your piece to the wall. Don't look at the wall. Go spit your piece. I'm about to go to this wall. I'm gonna spit my piece. And I'm like, and like people are walking in walking in, and they're getting their tickets. And they're like, hey, that's Chakra. Hey, Chakra. And Chakra just, and I'm like, man, and it's mad embarrassing, but at the same time, like, this is why he is who he is.
Right.
And I'm like, if I, you know what I'm saying, like, if I want to make it to that next level, like, I gotta be comfortable with doing that stuff. So
Right.
now when I do open mics or performances, yeah, like I leave the backstage area and I go to a quiet place. I'm talking to a wall and I'm just spitting my pieces, right?
Right.
Spitting my piece, spitting my
Right.
piece, and like that was something I learned from him. Like I don't write every day. Like I said, I don't write 3 times a day.
Right.
I'm not doing
Right.
that. I'm not doing that. I mean, but I write with my kids, trying to train them up for the next generation and stuff like that.
Right.
But yeah, like I think there's something to be said about like going somewhere, and not letting an event like turn you away from the art form. One event, right?
Right.
Especially because like you mentioned that what the judges gave you wasn't what the room was saying.
Right.
So that was just a day where the universe, God was telling you this is not your day.
Right.
It's just not today.
Right.
And and I think that there's a lot to be learned in that.
Yes.
Like like this is not me saying no. This is not us. You know what I'm saying? Like this is you're gonna have that come up and like look at you like what was it 2 weeks later you said?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
2 or 3 weeks later it's
Yeah.
like
Yep.
boom, I'm on the final stage.
Yes. And
You end up winning too, but like
yo, you know what?
it's the final stage.
Let me tell you, right? Let me tell you. Like, I want to play out that night a little bit. Naquel and he has another buddy of his that they're both from Long Island. I forget his name, so hopefully if you see this, man, I apologize. But he was another poet. They both were outstanding, mind you. Both were outstanding. Like they did an amazing. It was an amazing event overall. There was another young lady that was there as well. Scott, her last name is. I can't remember her first. Anyway, point is, everybody was incredible. Everybody was incredible. Everybody did an amazing job. I just so happened to go last, so I was like rounding out the segment, and it was like they said it like, damn, yo, you kind of hit batted cleanup, and you was knocking them out the park right after me. I was like, yo, I hated that you went after me, man. And I was like, like I guess it was just lined up for me because I was determined to win. I was so pissed from the last outing. I was like, yo, ain't no way I'm leaving here without. I don't get. If I gotta go naked up in this mug, we are winning this shit. I don't care. I'm not interested in nothing else. If I gotta go naked to get a 10, it is what it is. We going bare ass, but we are going to win.
No, I understand that, man. But yeah, so the reason I also think about that too because being a hip hop head, I've had some of the old heads in poetry from in the Baltimore area. All are 100% hip hop fans. They call themselves, they call themselves griots and stuff like that.
Right.
Like the Lamar Hills, who actually coach Chakra.
Oh.
You got like EmilioThePoet MC, Rebecca DuPont, those people, and like they used to, EmilioThePoet specifically had this thing and he actually traveled with it. But he had an open mic that was for the poets, right? It was a workshop open mic,
Right.
like, and you know, you come there and we're going to be as honest as we can with you, but it's to grow, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm like, do you feel like there's a need for that, or is that not the like? Is an open mic not the right name to call a space like that when you're trying to help poets workshop their poems? Like, should it be called like? Is the open mic a space for that, for
Is
workshopping?
to grow as a poet, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, is the open mic the space for a poet to workshop his poems?
It's a great question. I think the open mic serves its purpose, and I think the primary purpose of, in my opinion, of an open mic is to express yourself. First of all, you have something that's sitting in your brain. You just want to get it out to the world. Whoever would listen, you just want to get it out. That's number one. Because what happens in that space is, and I've had a big problem with the space in terms of, there's a mixture of different types of artists that come on that stage. There's people that don't care really about the craft. They're just there to, take a couple pictures for the gram, let people know they was there and they did it, and, show off. There's other people that are semi-serious but not too serious, and then other people that are very serious and they really want to, people to take heed. The problem is that when you mix all of us up, it feels like it's almost the same thing, because who knows what, you're not going to take anybody serious. You're just like, whatever, I'm going to talk through it. The beauty of that is that challenge, and that's been a challenge for me, because every time I go up, let's say I'm in a packed bar, for example, people are talking out their ass because the last 10 poets probably just weren't serious. They were just there just to mingle and talk shit and just say that I was there. The beauty of that is, it presented a challenge for me that I embraced and I accepted. My job was to get everybody's attention, and within the first seconds, I did that. And so that I feel like I did my job as a poet, because that sets you apart from the ones that are not serious, the ones that don't care. Like, I'm vested in this. This is my passion, which I gotta make you know that right out the cup, right out the jump. I mean, I gotta make you feel that. And so that's a challenge that I took. But as far as like staying in that space, I think that could be a little bit daunting, because you kind of become almost taken for granted. You know what I mean? It's like, he's just gonna be up here next week, and he's just gonna do this next piece again, and then who cares? You know what I mean? Like, now you got to pay to play for me. You want to come and see me? I got a show out. Come and support me. You know what I mean? I got a book, support it.
Right.
And again, I'm not too good for an open mic. I'm not saying that, it's beneath me. Once in a while, maybe I'll jump in there and poke my head. But overall, I shown enough of what I could do. Come check me out. You know what I mean? You might love the whole set instead of one piece at a time every time you see me every 6 months or whatever. So come check me out, because I think that I'm worth it, and I know that I'm worth it, and I think we're going to leave entertained and appreciative of what we just witnessed, in my opinion.
100%. 100%. I love that, man.
Thank you, my brother.
Actually, I definitely appreciate that, actually, because it's not to downplay it.
Right.
I think that, like, I'm actually doing so for my birthday. I'm actually going to I haven't told you. It's only I think it's only one other person in a lot, but I'm actually working on a poets open mic. Like, it's going to be a workshop type thing.
Nice.
There's going to be feature and all that stuff, and really, like, the whole point of it is like, hey, we're here. Anybody can spit, but just so you know, we're going to give you fair feedback. Get feedback. So if you don't want a piece to have feedback on it, I want to perform it. I want you to get up. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you don't want to. And so, like, it's going to be called the Winner Circle Open Mic.
Nice.
And it's kind of to pay homage to, like, the older heads and what they were trying to do, back in the day with poetry. Because they used to have I forgot what it was called now. It escapes my memory. But it was a dope name for it that they had. And they would do it out of a record store. Right. And so, like, they would have so it'd be like 4 open mics, right, that go on throughout the week. 4 open mics that go on throughout the week that was just like, the open mics just for, like, the girls want to get together, get dressed, look nice, go out and drink. And you got those open mics, right? And it's like, yeah, that's cool. But then once a month, everybody, we gonna come here for those who are serious about this game, about this poetry, and we here to critique. Make sure your work is better. Like, this is missing this, it's missing something, you know,
Yes.
or you know, this is, I like that wordplay, but then I got lost about the rest of the poem. Like I don't know
Right.
what the poem was about
Right.
because I was too focused on it was too bar heavy for me or something like
Right.
that.
Right.
It's like, like, and so like, I appreciate when I have those. And so like to be in a setting where it's a bunch of us and it's not, what I'm saying, like you're not spending money for somebody to just be one on one and somebody critique your stuff.
Right.
It's like, hey, we're here, we're gonna have a good time, but at the same time, this is the purpose of it. We're going to critique art.
I think that's
And
amazing, man. I think that's awesome.
like to a gallery, right? When you're looking at different art pieces in a
Yes.
gallery and
Yes.
you're critiquing it, right?
Yes.
And I think I think that there's a need for it. I don't know if it necessarily has to be all the time. Like you said, spoken word is for you to get your thoughts out, and like for anybody that'll listen to you. And I think that there definitely needs to be safe spaces. But I'm from Detroit, so I live in Baltimore now. I live in Baltimore now, but I'm from Detroit. And so in Detroit, Chicago, New York, when I came to New York, and I don't know if the open mic that you were talking about before was in New York,
Yes.
but man, they have really bad crowd. They like it's tough. Like you have to get their attention, and then like you go to a space. I go to these spaces sometimes now, and it's like respect the mic, guys. We snap for everybody, and it's like, and like, I'm not saying that there are not dope artists at these open mics.
Right.
It's just sometimes a lot of people come out of these spaces like a lot more confident than they should be about pieces that, what I'm saying? Like, I'm going to slam with this piece because they loved it.
Right.
Or I think I should be making the same amount of money that Saul Williams was making.
Right.
Because white people,
right.
And I'm going to, and so it kind of provides an issue. And that's why I was curious about what your thoughts were.
You know what? And I have a question now because you mentioned something where, so it's kind of crazy actually. When you say that you were like, oh, respect the mic, when you talking about trying to get people to quiet down to listen to the poet initially, or were you saying like, yo, y'all should cheer for this poet even if he was?
Oh, that's the rule. That's the rule, 100%. Like, so when the person is done with their piece, we applaud them.
Yeah. No, but I'm saying in the space you're talking about, was it that they didn't cheer at the end, where people were just minding their business and talking about other things?
Oh no, yeah. So the spaces like in Detroit, Chicago, like Well, I mean, when I go, I had to learn delivery. That's how I learned delivery because at first it was like I pulled a piece, everybody talking. I'm like struggling with memorizing the piece. I'm like, oh, I don't have this piece memorized as I thought I did because now I got people talking and distracting me.
Right.
And I had bad performances, man.
Sure, listen.
That's a really bad. But but like I said, those performances groomed me to be the artist I am today. And now but it's also like going back to Chicago. I made sure we went back to Chicago because we were actually doing music, and I made sure like we going back to that same bar. We went back there because the last time we went there and performed, the host had to come back on the mic and say, hey, man, they drove all the way from Detroit. And I'm like, dude, you had to say that for them to get quiet? Man, what?
Okay.
So now, we're going to demand their attention. So I started off with a poem before we did our set. And I'm just like, yeah. And then I go and spit this stuff, and I'm spitting. And they're like, oh, what? He said, what? Hold on, wait, is that a bar? And then, now I got their attention. So now we're doing the set. And, it's like, they loved us. You know what I'm saying? We came out of there with future gigs and stuff like that.
That's
so
awesome. In Chicago?
That was in Chicago.
Yo, that's one of my favorite cities, man. Love Chicago. Where was the place? Do you know the name of it?
I don't remember actually, but I can message it to you later.
Yeah, please. Yeah. We'll definitely stay in touch, man, because I love Chicago, boy. What?
Yeah, New York, man. No, New York, I was prepared for it because I had already went to Chicago 3 times by that point.
Wow. Okay.
We got to New York, and in New York, we went to a couple open mics out there. So they had some open mics where it was space,
sure,
right?
Sure.
And there was other ones that was like, yeah, bro, we don't know him. Anyway.
Right.
It's like you got to gain that attention, and so we were prepared for that. So, you know,
Listen. They say if you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. I really believe there's a reason for that. It's because I'm telling you about the open mic scene, but it is brutal. You know what I mean? I did the Apollo. I did was up at the Apollo Theater. And let me tell you something. I got booed off the stage, man. I got booed my ass off. You hear me? And it was one of the most humiliating, excuse me, yet uplifting times for me, because what don't make you would break you, right? If you allow it. But in this case, it made me. That moment made me the better performer that I am. People booed me without giving me a chance, and I said, you know what? I just got to dig deeper, because I love this too much to accept defeat. I love it too much. I'm not coming in here laying the egg. I'm sorry. I'm too nice for that. I'm too good for that. I quit. That bullshit, them claps, shove it up your end. You know what I mean? I need to come here with it. So I got to do better. And that's what I've decided to do. A lot of people turn the other way and say, you know what, screw this craft. I'm going to go try something else. You know what I mean? So I guess it depends on the person.
Yeah, no, 100%. I definitely agree with that, man. Listen, I appreciated this interview, man. This is an interview, man. Listen, do you have I do have another question for you, but first, before we get to that, Poetry Saturdays has been brought to you by H2O. Make sure y'all stay hydrated. Yeah, listen, and it's also been brought to you by Emilio the Poet's Poems. I didn't know if you had another piece you wanted to share before I asked this last question.
You know what? I'll probably do.
And if not, it's cool.
Just wanted to share this piece. Look here. You can find me at CustomPromotionalPoems.com. We are working to serve you while we create your small business commercial and custom poems. Also, we do podcast intros. So come check us out at CustomPromotionalPoems.com. You know what? I usually do this stuff when I'm like performing live. My energy's high, I usually do what I'm about to do. So I'm gonna kick something for you off top to see where we go with it. Check it out. I'm setting my camera up and we getting a little bougie over here, y'all. Poetry getting bougie. We need the camera crew and all that shit. All right, here we go. Check it out. Live and let live. Ain't no telling where it'll take you. Just make sure you on that road. See, I'm been on that road and I rose like I'm on concrete. Tupac showed me the way and I became light because I was tired of the rain. So if what I say don't resonate with your soul, then maybe you should turn the remote control. See, I'm tired of not being bold. 6'2", you can't miss me if you try to. Lie to you and yourself if you don't think I am fire, boo. I'm smoking. Hot, sizzling pot. You could put me in a pot, bake it, biggling bots. I'm not barbecuing your brain with microwavable delights. I'm just delightful. Stop being spiteful. Clap your hands and give me that cheer that you know righteously I'm about to get anyway, because you got to give me what I earned. And no, I'm not dead. This ain't ashes. I earned what I kept. You see, I crept, been slow, but I'm fast paced. And this is a pump fake with a slam dunk. It's in your face. You see, you got to acknowledge greatness. And you got to stop hating. You applaud today. Maybe you get it tomorrow. That's not hating. That's not forsaking. You get what you get. This is a boomerang. I'm going to throw it, get it back. You see how that works? Resonate. Don't be stupid. Mind your business. This is a dinner plate. Food for thought, so grab your plate. I got my fork, knife ready, even if they feeding me crumbs. I ain't a bum. That's why I look good where I look good at, son. Salute. Emilio the Poet, CustomPromotionalPoems.com is where you can find me at. Please support me. If you'd like to leave a donation, Emilio the Poet at Cash App. I do have other means of checking me out on YouTube, Custom Promotional Poems. I'm on YouTube, The Emilio Experience. You know, just check me out, man. Email me, CustomPromotionalPoems at gmail.com. You know what I mean? We working, my brothers, sisters. Thank you for having me. Johnny, thank you for having me, my brother. I hope much success to you. I hope one day to be able to chop it up with Black Chakra as well. Send them my highest regards. You know, I'm a big admirer of that man's work. He's doing great things.
100%, man. Appreciate you, bro.
For real. Thank you, bro.
See you guys next week for another episode of Poetry Saturdays. This was Emilio the Poet. Make sure y'all go check it out. Make sure y'all check out his organization as well. Definitely, I'm gonna tag them in the comments. So if you didn't get the website, I'm gonna tag the cause they also have an Instagram page just for his company. I'm gonna tag them in the comments, and you can check a bio, get the website. All right.
Thank you,
So
Johnny.
definitely. Oh man. Also his book. Make sure y'all get his book. I'm a Poet If You Know It, Volume 1.
I'm a Poet and You Know It,
Check
Volume 1 on Amazon. I'm a Poet and You Know It, Volume 1.
check it out. Check it out, y'all. All right. We'll talk to y'all soon, man. See y'all.
Thank you, Johnny. Peace, y'all.